Vicki Hogarth, and welcome to Southwest Magazine. I'm joined today by Emma Keech and Lee Smith-Powell, who are here today to talk about the Healthy Seniors pilot project that's currently underway in St. Andrews. Thank you both for being here today.
Thank you.
Emma, can you tell us, for people that may have seen posters around town, what exactly this project is? I know there are a lot of locals that are involved in some of the information sessions and research, but what is it?
So the Healthy Seniors Pilot Project is a project that's funded in partnership with the provincial and federal government. It's an information gathering through community engagement. We're looking to see how we can support people aging in place, aging in their homes, and this information will then be shared across the province and the country.
Can you tell me who is involved in the Healthy Seniors Pilot Project?
Absolutely. So involved we have Passamaquoddy Lodge, we have a Silver Mark, and we have St. Thomas University who are doing the research component.
Okay, and aging in place, Lee, we're going to talk to you a little bit later about having a relative who this kind of project could have benefited and could have stayed at home longer. But can you tell me, Emma, first, what kind of information are you looking to gather, and why has St. Andrews been chosen as a place to look at?
So as the community is probably aware, we are hoping to build a new Passamaquoddy Lodge, and when we approached social development, they suggested we apply for this grant, this project, and we're hoping to see what the lodge can do also to help people in the community by offering different programs. Maybe it would be an adult day program, intergenerational activities, a place that they could come and have foot care, whatever. We are really just hoping to have that community engagement to see what the community could benefit for themselves and for caregivers. We're very open. We want to hear from the community to see what would be helpful.
And speaking of someone from the community, Lee, can you tell me a little bit about your own experience with an aging parent and what you went through and how finding some kind of program could have helped you have your mother in particular at home longer?
My mom, she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's at a young age. She was 59 years old. At the time, it was just simple short-term memory loss. Then, you know, as the disease progressed, her needs became greater, and she wasn't able to stay at home on her own. My dad passed away, you know, fairly suddenly, and then I was left to care for my mom, and so she moved in with me. And really, she was able to do her own care and, you know, and feed herself and things, but she wasn't able to be left on her own. There were safety issues. I would worry about her turning on the stove and then forgetting that she turned on the stove. You know, she would go outside the house, didn't know where she was, didn't know an address. You know, just there were certain things she just didn't have that ability to know, you know, what was safe, what wasn't safe, and she, you know, always was in denial that she actually had Alzheimer's. So for me, working full-time, and my office was actually in the St. George area, so I couldn't even pop home to see how she was doing through the day. She didn't need a babysitter, kind of as such, if that's the proper word for it, but she needed supervision. So what would have been a huge benefit to me and my mom would have been a day program. You know, similar to, you know, a daycare that we would have for children, only, you know, services that would be put in place for a senior, particularly one that was still very social and still really enjoyed music and enjoyed being around other people, even though she couldn't really carry on much of a conversation. So for me, that would have been a huge game changer. And if I had that, I could go to work, be comfortable, come home, knowing that my mom was cared for all day and I didn't have to worry. So that evening I could actually give her myself to, you know, it would have been way better for me and for my mom and for my family as well. So if I had that about 3 years ago, when my mom actually went into the Passamaquoddy Lodge. I think, you know, we probably could have kept her home for another year or so. So, you know, really that would have been number one for me. There are other things, but that certainly was my main thing.
And I know there are studies that show how aging in place leads to people that live longer, that are happier, healthier mentally, a lot of different reasons. But it also must do that for the caregiver too, to know that you don't have to necessarily find a new place for someone to live. Would that have been something that you benefited from personally?
Definitely. If I could have kept my mom home longer, you know, when I did put her into, and I hate to say it that way, but when she went into the Passamaquoddy Lodge was the hardest day of my life. It was harder than the day that I lost my dad. I felt like I was abandoning my mom. She always said to, you know, put her in a nursing home if she ever got to that point. But once she got to that point, she didn't know she said that, and always said she didn't want to go in a nursing home and didn't think she needed it. And so I kind of had to do it behind her back. And it was absolutely horrible, and you know, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Although it was an excellent move. They are great at the Passamaquoddy Lodge. Services are fabulous, especially Emma. But it was an extremely difficult time for me, and I can hardly even talk about it.
Yeah, and we were talking before starting filming how everyone in their life has a story like this. And I was telling you about my dad's dad and how we had to move him in with us at one point growing up because he was mentally wonderful, but he would forget the stove was on, and there were these little things that were adding up to the possibility of something going terribly wrong, and eventually it did lead to him being in a home, but we had wished there was a way. And it's harder in a small town because you're not close to a city center that has all these resources, but at the same time, a lot of the times you move to a small town, there's a lot of people that move here to retire here because they want this beautiful, quiet life that you had to spend so many years working in a city just to get to, only to sometimes have to leave it because you can't take care of yourself anymore, which is so sad. So what are you hearing from the study? I think it's so interesting that it's here for those reasons, because you are looking at people. I know there's an ecosystem in Charlotte County. I'm thinking of Dial-A-Ride and all these services where we try to keep people at home longer. But what are you hearing from the community about how they struggle?
Yes, we've definitely had obviously several engagements to get this kind of feedback, and it's been transportation, which is not what we are addressing for this project, but certainly access to services for our seniors, the adult day program, an opportunity for socialization, opportunities for intergenerational, basically just being integrated into the community, you know. And
is there a work on a community hub, or the idea that you could launch something that would create almost like a clubhouse for these intergenerational activities, or even some form of I don't want to say daycare is one word, you know what I mean, but a place people could go if they felt they needed more social time during the day.
The hope is with the new Passamaquoddy Lodge build that we'll have a community partnership space which will be co-located with the lodge, and also we're hoping that the Passamaquoddy Children's Daycare will also be co-located. So that in itself is creating a community for our residents, and then hopefully our seniors to come and access the services they need to help them stay in home.
And because you are here also as a person who can represent the Passamaquoddy Lodge, I'd love to ask you a question that's affiliated with what we're talking about building the new lodge, though. When you're able to construct a new lodge at the same time as you're doing these very informative research projects, is it helpful in how you envision the center you're creating, this must be sort of coinciding at a really wonderful time as you're building a new place for people to live.
Absolutely, and so much work has already been done in the community of St. Andrews through an age-friendly community committee. So we've been very lucky. We have so many wonderful resources here in St. Andrews, and so to take all of that and to have that knowledge and to be able to apply it to our new build is incredible.
Now, will this also, if there is this community hub, I imagine it would also benefit, let's say, your mom, Lee, who's at the lodge now, because there would be more interaction from the community that's not necessarily living there. It's not just the residents. It would be people coming for sort of daytime activities and also bringing other members of the community in as well.
That would be fabulous, actually. And my mom, even though she's advanced in her illness at this point, she still really enjoys music. So, you know, anybody coming in, doing music, things like that, my mom would absolutely love.
So how do people, let's say, and it's someone like, could I get involved with the research you're doing? How do people from the community help out in any way?
Absolutely. So I would encourage you to go to the Passamaquoddy Lodge website where you can find updates and upcoming sessions, and then you can join. We just had one this past week, but I certainly would encourage people to keep checking in, and certainly they can contact me at the lodge.
Okay, and how long is this research going on for?
So it will be finishing up in the spring of 2023. So we will have the results and the project finished by then.
And then the final results, this is something that could be nationwide. It's obviously, St. Andrews is picked as a location where we're studying a community, but this might inform, I would imagine, the way we approach aging in place all across the country.
Absolutely. This information will be shared across the province, like I said, and across the country. So that's why it's just so important to have that community engagement. And it's very appreciated that people that have already given us their feedback, and we just encourage them to continue to do so and support the project.
How about the lodge in terms of people that are watching this new development come underway? And it is a very exciting change for our community. I think my grandma was there, my great uncle was there. So to see a new phase of its development, a new chapter, is really exciting. Where are we at with the new lodge?
So nothing is set in stone, but we have a lot of people pushing and making the right moves to try and make that happen. So we're hoping that with this HSP project that we will be able to push forward, and this will give us some momentum. And you know, we encourage people to write to their local MPs and let them know that we need this new lodge. And you know, if anything, many voices get heard.
And switching back to the Healthy Seniors pilot project, would there be things in place for the caregiver? I know we've talked a lot about the senior who hopefully can age in home longer, but since you have the perspective of being the person as the caregiver, would there have been some outlets or resources that you didn't have that if you had would have been beneficial to your experience?
Certainly. Caregiver burnout is something that we've heard a lot about, and some of us have experienced. So for me, once, you know, I really needed a support group, and I did attend one, and at the time, it was quite a while ago, and when I went, it wasn't as beneficial as I'd hoped, because it talked more about services that were available in St. John. So, and that's lovely. Like, I'm really happy that they have their services, but being in a rural center, we don't have all of those same services. So I think that's why this project is so, you know, important, and you know, we need to have these services in place so that, you know, families in rural areas in Charlotte County can certainly take part in those programs. For me, my concern with a caregiver support program is who would look after my mom when I went to a caregiver support program. So not only is there a need for a day program, which I think, you know, for me, as I said, was number one, But you know, if there was services or certain programs that were offered within that facility, you know, maybe if there was a way I could take my mom there with me while I was attending that session, then that would take away some of my worry.
Yeah. What are some, I know it's still early in the research, but are there priorities like you're mentioning that you've either really determined are key right now? I guess between the two of you, that's a question for both of you.
I would say the strong categories have been the adult day program, a place for socialization and activities to take place, intergenerational programs, a community kitchen. Those are really the ones that are coming forth really with a strong, you know, and also I guess access to resources, somewhere they could go to access these.
And dare I say this, but we do have the baby boomer generation to think about. So is this impacting the study in the sense that there's so many reasons why we have to think about this more now? We're looking at a housing crisis for different reasons right now, but there could be, I don't want to fearmonger, but there could be a long-term care home issue in years to come, where if we have all the baby boomers needing that care, aging in place isn't just something that we should be thinking about as a better option, but it might be a necessary one. So is that part of the reason for this? A long way to get to my question. Is that another reason why this study is so important?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there are many factors to why this is such an important issue. I think that, you know, people do want to stay at home as long as possible, and they absolutely should. So I think that reaching out to the community, you know, people have ideas of what they want to see, and a lot, you know, they may be feeling like they're getting closer to that, and so they want to be heard, and, you know, they do have a lot of valuable feedback to give us, which will help us in this project.
Well, thank you both so much for being here today. I'd love to get more involved myself in the information sessions, and I think so many people can shed light from different perspectives. So really appreciate what you're doing and how it's informing the community.
Thank you, and thank you for having us here today.
Joined today by Kate Johnston on the St. Andrews Off-Leash Dog Park. So can you tell us about what the plans are for a dog park in the town, where it will be, and when you think it might get underway?
Yeah, so the committee is a group of people who are all dog owners who kind of came together recognizing the need for a fenced area for dogs in town to be able to exercise off-leash. And we got together kind of over the winter of 2022, recognizing that we had this need in the committee. We got together, we planned a presentation, and we made our first presentation to Town Council in June of this year, in June of 2022. Town Council was very supportive. They held some public outreach and education sessions. And then in August, we were very excited for the town to basically give us a tentative approval with a location, with the idea of being able to fundraise through the year with a potential hope to be able to construct in 2023.
And so the location that is going ahead with is Harry Mallory Sports Park, is that right?
That's right, yeah. So it's at the sports field location. It's, if anyone is familiar with the sports field, near the back of the baseball and soccer field, there's sort of a washroom building and then a trail through some woods. So the idea is that we would be making use of some of the land there that's currently wooded, which we're very excited about because not only is it such a great location for the town, walkable for many people, drivable for many people. There's washroom facilities already, and like a lot of other activities can take place there. But there's also the opportunity that we might be able to keep some of the trees and keep some of the tree cover to make it kind of a beautiful outdoor space to be able to exercise dogs off leash.
As you can see, our dog Maud is very excited about this. She has to let you go since you've been here. Are there any plans to separate it in terms of dog size, or would it be open for everyone, and would it be open 4 seasons of the year?
Definitely, yes. So we would definitely plan for it to be open 4 seasons of the year, and it would be modeled after a lot of other successful dog parks in other communities. So most of those you'll see that they actually have 2 separate areas. There's an area for small dogs to exercise, and then a larger area for larger dogs to exercise, because you know, not everyone will go to the dog park for the same reason. You know, sometimes people will want to go in order for their dog to socialize with other dogs, but a lot of times people want to go to just be themselves and their dog, to be able to let them run and sniff and do all those things that make for a happy and healthy dog's life. So we would hope to see, yes, 2 separate areas for small and large dogs, and gated areas, of course, to make sure that it's extra safe, you know, being able to unleash and leash your dog in a separate area, so two different gates, and then to be able to let your dog out of that gate to make sure that there's no problems with parking lots and dogs being off leash, etc.
Now, I know it's still a work in progress, but have you talked about rules and regulations, and in terms of maintenance? I guess it would be clean up after your own dog, but there'll be some other rules as well.
Of course, yeah. Like, I mean, the bottom line is that you are responsible for your dog no matter where you are with your dog, whether you're walking on the leash on Water Street or whether you're in the dog park. You're still responsible for your dog's behavior, and in no way is this meant to be a place where you would drop off your dog and leave them unsupervised. Like that's not the purpose, that's not the point of the dog park. You know, we would hope that just as anywhere else in town that you would clean up after your dog. I think most people are responsible dog owners. And as for rules, you know, we're looking at a lot of other different communities and what their rules are, because there are some differences, but you know, in general, it's, you know, being responsible for your dog at all times, not permitting any dog that has a known history of dangerous behavior, not permitting puppies who haven't had their shots to be protected from most diseases yet, you know, making sure that, you know, children under 12 aren't permitted in there unless they're with a parent or a guardian, and just, you know, general rules, you know, dawn to dusk operation, things like that. And yeah, we would hope to have it open 4 seasons of the year, and again, just as in the construction, partnering with the town to provide ongoing maintenance, so mowing and snow removal for parked cars, etc. But I don't think there's any need for, this came up at council, I don't think there's any need for snow removal inside the fences, because that's the most fun part of winter. Right, Maude?
She definitely thinks so. St. Andrews is obviously known as a dog-friendly town. You can bring your dog to the Algonquin, for instance,
yeah.
And I've met a lot of friends in the community just from having a dog. Where did you establish this need? Was it just from moving here and seeing the population of dog owners?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so like I have an 18-month-old dog, so it's like, you know, I certainly became more aware when I brought a puppy into my house. But no, it was just from being around in the community, and St. Andrews has so many beautiful open spaces to bring your dog, but there really actually aren't that many park spaces. So usually if you're going to exercise your dog and you want it to be off leash, you're on the beach or you're on one of the trails, and that can sometimes be problematic, you know, either whether the beach varies in size because of low tide and high tide, or whether you might run into some wildlife. We're so lucky to be so close to a lot of wildlife, but it can be really dangerous and problematic to run across deer or porcupines, or other dogs, or even other people who are allergic or afraid of dogs. Like, you don't expect that not everyone in the world loves dogs and wants to be you know, jumped on by an exuberant young Labrador, speaking from personal experience. And so, you know, we kind of had this realization, myself and other dog owners in town, that, you know, the bylaws say that you do have to have your dog leashed at all times, which is of course understandable and a really important part of public safety. So if that is the case, then we do need a place to have our dogs safely exercise off the leash and have it be a place where it's legal and you don't feel like you're, you know, hiding from the law, you know, when you're just trying to give your dog a bit of exercise and a bit of a run.
Was a lot of the feedback, I know, with having Maude as my first dog, and socializing her is a huge aspect of what we've tried to do, and it is. I take her to the beach for that reason, but I'm definitely at the need for a low tide to take to a lot of the beaches that she likes to go to. So is that what you're hearing too, that it's an opportunity to get people's dogs socialized with each other and create a better dog community, as it were?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, I think that, you know, dogs are unique individuals just like humans are, and, you know, they have a huge need to socialize and to be with other dogs. I mean, and not every dog is the same, but often it's like, you know, the happiest a dog can be is when they're with another dog. And a happy and tired dog makes for a happy and tired neighbor. You know, like, dogs who are well socialized and tired out and well exercised are great neighbors. They don't tend to bark as much. They don't tend to, you know, exhibit those behaviors that people who live near dogs might complain about. So yeah, it's incredibly important, and I think other dog parks and other communities have the opportunity, for example, for, you know, a trainer might be able to come in and use the dog park as a location for a puppy class. You know, everyone who's got a young dog can come and learn basic obedience and things like that. So it would also provide a venue for some of those great opportunities to socialize your dog.
Great points. And can you tell me a little bit about how this partnership is working with the town? How much do you need to fundraise, and how can people help?
Yeah, basically, so we are sort of a loosely formed committee, and we're partnering with the town. And again, I can't overstate how much we appreciate the support of the town in hearing our presentation, working with us to choose a prospective location. The basic costs, I mean, these might fluctuate over time, but the basic costs are about $120,000 for selecting that location, to fence it and to clear it and do everything that we need to do to make the dog park come to life. And we are attempting, as our committee, we are needing to fundraise about 50% of those costs. So we need to fundraise about $60,000. So we are collecting donations right now. Basically, all donations are being funneled through the town. And again, a huge thank you to them for organizing that. And these are, of course, tax-deductible donations. So a donation can be made through the town cash, check, and credit card, and e-transfer as well. All those instructions are available on our Facebook page. And in addition to just our general fundraising drive, we are having a couple of fundraising events. We have had a couple of events already this fall. The proceeds from the tall ship that was here over the Thanksgiving weekend went to the dog park, and we had very generous support of the St. Andrews Brewing Company for running a pub and trivia night. And also this fall we are holding an online auction. Details for that will be available on our Facebook page, as well as a holiday photography session. Be able to make a donation and get perhaps a snappy holiday photo of you and your favorite pet, not precluded, just dogs, any kind of family pet. Maud is just coming over for a hug.
She's showing you she is ready.
She's doing the big lean, yeah. And so yes, we're open for general donations as well as holding those fundraising events, and we can't thank everyone enough for their support so far. She's just leaning me right off the couch.
Yep. Getting ready to pose for her Christmas photo.
Yeah, she's showing you how you should do it. Yeah.
How far along are you in the fundraising efforts, and is there a goal in mind in terms of a date you want to have this fundraised by?
I mean, we are trying our very best to sort of achieve this fundraising goal sort of through this winter and spring. You know, if we were able to do that, we would be able to come to the town with our portion, and hopefully, you know, again, the town is working on sort of their financial plan for the next year, but we would hope to see this be constructed or start to be constructed in 2023. So yes, if we can continue going sort of as we have been, we've had some great success so far. We would hope to see this dog park next year.
Wonderful. So, and if someone wants to make a donation, you mentioned they can go to the town office. I imagine there's maybe a tax receipt as well.
Yes, absolutely. They can issue a tax receipt because it is for a charitable purpose. And all those instructions, so we accept cash, check, e-transfer, and credit card payments. All of those instructions are available on our Facebook page. You just need to look for St. Andrews Dog Park Project.
St. Andrews Dog Park Project is the Facebook page.
Yes.
So I will find it now and follow, and then also look for other fun fundraising nights, trivia nights, and whatnot.
Yeah, that's where we share all the information about ongoing events like that.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Kate, for telling us more about it.
You're welcome.
My guest today has been Kate Johnston from the St. Andrews Off-Leash Dog Park Committee. I'm Vicki Hogarth. Thank you for watching Southwest Magazine.
Southwest Magazine is a news and public affairs production of CHCO Television.